Joy to the world. Wait, it's not Christmas yet. What's up, Collide? We are in week 2 of our series called Live Different, and you guessed it, we are talking about joy today. So let's jump right in and pull up our key passage from this series that we've been working through. It's in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 14 through 18. So let's read it. Brothers and sisters, we urge you to warn those who are lazy, encourage those who are timid, take tender care of those who are weak. Be patient with everyone. See that no one pays back evil for evil, but always try to do good to each other and to all people. Always be joyful. Never stop praying. Be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ Jesus. Did you catch that in verse 16? Always be joyful. Now, we're not just talking about the joy that naturally comes with Christmas. And if everyone wants to be happy, why does God need to command us to always be joyful? Think of a time that you felt joy. Maybe it was Christmas when you got that one gift that you've been begging for. Maybe it was at Wildfire during worship or going on the giant swing. Maybe it was when you got a good grade on your test, you won the game, you got the lead in the show. All of these things can make us so happy and bring us joy. But I think the key word in this verse is always. See, it's a lot harder to find joy when your brother is driving you nuts, or your parents are going through a divorce, when you get cut from the team, you fail the test you've been studying for, and when you never get that thing that you wish you had. So are we supposed to be joyful in those moments too, or is it when things are going fine? How can we always be joyful? See, I think Jesus does a really good job of explaining it in John chapter 15. He uses this illustration of a vine, its branches, and the fruit that it produces. He starts out by saying the obvious. A branch cannot produce fruit if it's cut off from the vine. Which totally makes sense because a branch from an apple tree can't grow apples if it's been cut off from the tree. It's just gonna die and be a useless stick like this. See, he uses this illustration as an analogy to help us understand something way deeper. In verse 5, he explains that Jesus is the vine and we are the branches. So let's read verse 5 together. Turn to John chapter 15, verse 5. Yes, I am the vine and you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. So if staying connected to Jesus means we're gonna have a lot of good fruit in our lives, then how do we remain connected to Jesus? And what kind of fruit are we actually talking about here? Can we grow apples? Verse 10 tells us the answer to that first question. To remain connected to Jesus, we have to know what he tells us to do, which we can do by reading the Bible and getting to know him better. Then we need to actually do those things. Jesus says in verse 10, let's read it together. He says, when you obey my commands, you remain in my love, just as I obey my Father's commandments and remain in his love. So, in order for us to remain connected to Jesus, we need to obey his commands. Okay, great. So, what are his commands? Well, let's jump down to verse 12 with me, okay? Now, this isn't all his commands, but it's a pretty good summary of a bunch of them. Let's read verse 12. This is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. So to remain connected to Jesus, we need to pursue him to know him better and obey his commands to love each other. He wants us to be great friends to everyone and love them like he does. And not just the people we like, but everyone. Even the people we don't like, we need to show love. But what about our second question? What is this fruit that we're talking about? Jesus tells us back up in verse 11. So let's back up one and let's read that together. I have told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. The fruit or the good things that come from remaining connected to Jesus and obeying his commands is joy, an overflowing joy. Now, I realize that we're gonna have good days and we're gonna have bad days, some fun experiences and some really hard ones. But Jesus tells us that if we remain connected to Him by having a relationship with Him and obeying His commands to love each other, that we will have an overflowing, always kind of joy. And I want you to have that kind of joy. That even when life is hard, it doesn't drag you down. That you will still feel joy despite your circumstances. And you can stand strong, living differently because you have Jesus on your side. You can do it, Collide. And we are here to support you every step of the way.